Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Classic Gamer 74. I am your host, Anthony Gamer. I hope everybody out there is doing well. I myself am feeling pretty good. So, again, thank you so much for the messages and kind words that I've been getting from you guys. And today we are going to be discussing more games featuring the Peanuts characters. Several years ago, I did a video where I discussed some of the various games that were based on the Peanuts characters. Many of them for the older game systems. One I spoke of was the prototype, Good Luck Charlie Brown. You see the mock-up cart there in the corner. Today I'm going to talk about some games that came out much later and even a couple that I missed from early on. So stay tuned to the end of the video where I'm going to actually talk about some Peanuts lost media. So with all that in mind, let's get started. And our first game for today came from 1982 by Nintendo for the Game & Watch. This is Snoopy Tennis. If I'm not mistaken, this may actually be the very first official Peanuts licensed game out there. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments section below. But in this game, you take on the role of Snoopy, and you are trying to hit the tennis balls back to Charlie Brown and Lucy. It starts off pretty easy, but of course it gets faster like all Game & Watch games do, and eventually you're moving up and down, hitting the balls, and just trying not to let them get past you. Really a fun game, and just has that classiness that Game & Watch games were known for. And a year later, we have yet another Snoopy game for the Game & Watch. This one is just simply called Snoopy. In this game, you take on the role of the titular character, and you are standing above Schroeder, who is practicing his piano. Above Snoopy are Woodstock and his friends, and not too far away from Schroeder is Lucy, who is trying to take a nap. You are trying to knock those notes down so that they don't wake up the birds, therefore end up waking up Lucy, who ends up kicking Schroeder and his piano over. As like most games, it starts off pretty easy, but then the notes just come rapidly, and you really got to hit those suckers, unless you want to see Schroeder get knocked over by Lucy. Okay, so now we're going to skip ahead a few years to 1990, and we have Snoopy Silly Sports Spectacular. This was released on the NES in 1990 and was released in Japan in 1988. Now, when it was released in Japan, it was actually a Donald Duck game, and yeah, I know the whole licensing thing, that will come into play in a game coming up. But anyway, it's actually based on a British home computer game, Alternatives World Games, and it's a child-oriented sports game. Alright, in this one you have a couple different, actually you have 6 events. You have boot throwing, similar to hammer throwing, pizza balancing, and sack racing, which you're looking at here, as Snoopy and his brother Spike are going in a sack race. In the background, you see all kinds of cool landmarks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the Colosseum. Really, it's a pretty fun game, and honestly, it's one that I kind of didn't know about until here recently. But it really is a lot of fun, as is the Alternative World Sports, and I guess it's just a sprite swap. If you get this for the Famicom, it's got Donald Duck and Disney characters. But overall, it's a pretty fun game for younger players and older players alike to enjoy. That same year of 1990, Kemco released this gem, Snoopy's Magic Show. In this puzzle game, you are taking on the role of Snoopy, and you are trying to rescue Woodstock. But this ball and other obstacles are trying to stop you. Really, it's a fun game and very, very addictive. I always say stupid stuff sometimes. I go, I don't like puzzle games, or I don't like RPG games, but then I end up getting sucked into them. Next thing you know, I'm playing for hours on it. And this is definitely one of those games. So if you are a puzzle gamer, or in denial that you're a puzzle gamer, you're going to really enjoy this one. And next up in 1992, we had Snoopy's Game Club. This was released for DOS by Accolade, and it was some 3 mini games for kids. You had Snoopy's Animated Puzzles, which are jigsaw puzzles of animated pictures featuring Snoopy in the game. You can choose how many pieces to break the picture into, from 4 to 64, and when completed, you'll get to see a short little cutscene. Charlie Brown's Picture Pairs, concentration-like game card game where players flip over cards that are face down and try to make as many matches as possible. And finally, you have Woodstock's Look-alike, a matching game where many similar but not quite the same objects are displayed, and you have to match the two that are exactly alike. You can select the number of objects displayed: 18, 16, or 12. Really a fun game for kids and for people that want to work on their memory. Next up, we have an interesting game, and that is Snoopy Concert. This came out in 1995 for the Super Famicom and was released by a company called Detsu. Now, this was a Japan exclusive. In this game, you are taking on the role of Snoopy, and you are planning to have a concert, and you want all your friends to attend. The problem is that all your friends have something they need to be done, some sort of task, and Snoopy has to help each of them out before they are able to come to his concert. Now, the game itself was only released in Japan, and of course it was in Japanese, but there is an English patch available. Now, this game is a platformer game like many of the games from the 90s, and of course something that Nintendo thrived on. The only thing is, this game is not really easy. It takes quite a while to get used to the controls, and it gets real trippy sometimes. Like in one part, you're Snoopy and you have to get in a fist fight with a giant flower, but overall, it's not a bad game. It's an interesting piece of Peanuts history. I don't know if it would have been a big hit had it been released over here in America. There is an English patch available that you can download and try for yourself. Let me know what you think of this game in the comments below. I'd really like to hear your opinions. And our next game came out in 2001 for Infogrames, and this is Snoopy Tennis for the Game Boy Color. It's pretty much just a tennis game. You pick a Peanuts character, then you pick another Peanuts character as your opponent, and you have a tennis match. That's pretty much it. I'm not a real big fan of tennis, but if you are, maybe you'll enjoy it. Next up, we had a game I really enjoyed, and I didn't know if I really would, but I just kept playing it for hours and hours. Wow, this is Snoopy versus the Red Baron from 2006 for the PS2. It was released by Namco Bandai. Wow, I really enjoyed the original Snoopy and the Red Baron that came out for the Atari 2600, but this was something else. In this one, you once again take on the role of Snoopy, who is a World War I flying ace, and he is writing a book about his adventures and gives a copy of the manuscript to Linus to check over, and Linus is reading it to Charlie Brown. And in the game, you are Snoopy flying his Sopwith Camel, and you are going on missions against the Germans in World War I. It is just amazing. Ordinarily, I'm not really that good at flying games. I'll be the first to admit that was something my brother was good at, but this one is just great. You shoot down these really interesting, you have some really interesting enemies what they didn't have during World War I. These like ground things, and then of course you're fighting against enemy planes and taking out targets and trying to save things. You drink root beer to replenish your energy for your plane. You can upgrade your plane and get better weapons. It's really a lost classic. This is definitely a game I'm probably going to dive into a little bit deeper at some point, but if you ever get a chance to play it, I highly recommend it. And our final game for today is the Peanuts movie, Snoopy's Grand Adventure. This was released by Activision in 2015 for the PS4, the 3DS, the Wii U, the Xbox 360, and the Xbox One. So we are looking at the PS4 version of this game. It was programmed by Daniel Cordova and George Laskowski. Now, the story in this game is Charlie Brown and his friends play hide and seek in his backyard while unintentionally leaving a trail of jelly beans. Snoopy finds the trail and follows them in order to locate the gang. Throughout the game, he goes through hiding spots the gang have hidden.
You found a new
However,
Snoopy
due to Snoopy's
costume.
crazy imagination, he
costume
believes
has a
them to be
unique
amazing
Snoopy
and
power.
exciting places like the Amazon, space, Aztec Temple, etc. He then finds Peppermint Patty, Linus,
You can change
Lucy
into a
Van Pelt,
costume with
Franklin,
this box,
Pigpen, Schroeder,
or
and
change out of
believing
a
him to
costume
be
if you
the
want.
last kid standing. Charlie Brown believes he won, but unfortunately finds that the little red-haired girl won instead of as Charlie came out before she came out. Despite the fact he lost again, he is happy that she smiled at him and congratulated him. Schroeder then plays the theme for the Peanuts and everyone dances. Now, in this game again, you take on the role of Snoopy, and you must go through several different levels, and each one ending in his doghouse. Along the way, you collect jelly beans, use various costumes, and find members of the Beagle Scouts. And you are able to customize Snoopy and Woodstock. Now, this platformer game is a whole lot of fun. I got it used at GameStop, like a lot of us get our PS4 games, and it only took me a few days to beat it, which I guess was kind of disappointing, but I really had a lot of fun playing it, and I think you guys will as well. As this is definitely a great new game that has gone into instant classic status as far as I'm concerned. So if you have a PS4 or any of the other aforementioned game systems, give this game a try. You are not going to be disappointed. Okay, so we're at the end of the video. So before we wrap it up, we're going to discuss some Peanuts lost media. And yes, like many other franchises, there is a lot of lost media surrounding Peanuts, including a video game. Now, this video game was actually advertised when you bought Snoopy versus the Red Baron on the back of the book. Yeah, remember back when video games came with books? There was an advertisement for a game called Charlie Brown's All-Stars, and it was supposed to be coming out in 2007. However, it never did. So I'm taking this information directly from the Lost Media Wiki. Okay. Charlie Brown's All-Stars is a baseball game most likely based on the animated special of the same name, which is based on the Peanuts franchise. The game was being developed by Farsight Studios and was to be published by Namco Bandai Games for PS2 and PSP, but ended up getting canceled before it was released. Now, the plot that we know of is after losing yet another baseball game, Charlie Brown meets his friend Linus and introduces him to Mr. Hennessy, who owns a hardware store and is willing to help Charlie Brown and his team finally win a game. Now, the game would have featured over 70 Peanuts characters, initially 30. It would also have had 4 party games, 40 games, like contests of batting, fielding, and pitching, along with Simon Says type game called Lucy Says. Okay, so again, never got released. No reason was given. Most people think is because Farsight was involved in too many projects and didn't have enough staff to work on the game. Actually, there is very little of it other than this advertisement. There were a couple renderings of the characters, but that's about all we have. Hopefully someday soon this will pop up and we can try it out, because honestly I think it would be kind of neat from what I've heard, and I've been a fan of Peanuts since I was a kid, and I would really love to see a Charlie Brown baseball game. So let's keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully someday this will see the light of day in some way, shape, or form, or at least a playable build that we can try. In our next episode, we are going to discuss one of my all-time favorite NES games, one that I played obsessively as a kid and still play from time to time, and that is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Well, that brings this episode of Classic Gamer 74 to a close. I really hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed presenting it to you. And again, thank you so much for all the prayers, the positive messages. I've been feeling a heck of a lot better. I'm on vacation now, so this week of R&R should help me recharge and feel better. Let's hope so. But again, thank you so much, everybody. And if you did enjoy today's video, let me know by giving me a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to click that little bell icon down there so you'll be notified when I upload any new videos. Connect with me on all my social media platforms. Check out my latest book, The Excuse Book for Men. I think you guys will really enjoy it. It's an ebook only. And in this week, starting up on the 25th, it will be free. So if you get a chance, grab it and let me know what you think. Well, until next time, this has been Anthony Gamer. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next time. Until then, be strong, be safe, be happy, be healthy, and above all, take care of each other, be kind to each other, and stop hate of all kinds. See you soon. Bye for now.